We have some significant breaking news out of Calgary. They've come to terms with defenseman MacKenzie Weegar on an 8-year extension. We'll discuss the contract coming up next. Welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some pretty significant news from the Calgary Flames organization. They've announced an 8-year contract extension for recently acquired defenseman MacKenzie Weegar. Of course, we know that the summer of the Calgary Flames was off to a pretty grim start, losing Johnny Gaudreau to free agency, even though they offered more money than the competitors. He ultimately ended up in Columbus. That was heartbreaking enough. They were confident they could, try to keep Johnny. He leaves. Then, of course, they find out right after Matthew Tkachuk wants no part of a long-term deal. Is either going to sign a 1-year contract, walk himself to UFA status and leave, or he would be willing to do a sign-in trade with a select group of teams. So when you put up against the wall like that and you only have a certain number of teams of players willing to sign an extension with, that makes it hard. But Brad Treliving pulled off a remarkable deal. Of course, he had to have a partner to tangle with here in the Florida Panthers, putting Jonathan Huberdeau and MacKenzie Weegar on the table here, part of a trade, and that was just too good to pass up. And he did a remarkable job, and it's been off to the races since, not only keeping this team competitive, but many people would argue they're just as good, if not better, than they were before. Only time will tell when they hit the ice. I guess we'll see if they really are better or not, but a lot of people feel that way. This deal is valued around $50 million over the next 8 years, which gives them an average annual value for a cap hit of $6.25 million. I think MacKenzie Weegar can project to be a top pair defenseman. That kind of money for that kind of position is really not that bad. He's currently 28 years old. He'll be 29 when this kicks in. So if there's any risk or downside to the deal, it's the fact that it's an 8-year deal kicking in when he's 29. It's going to take him right to the end of his career, likely till his late 30s. But you know what? I'm sure that the Flames and Brad Treliving, they don't care about that. They're probably only really looking at the first 4 to 5 years of this deal. They're in win now mode. He's getting, or should be able to give them good production, good minutes, good value. And the last couple of years are a little rough. You know what? The salary cap will be much higher then. It'll be easier to deal with. And a lot of times these teams know that that's likely going to happen. But just a couple quick notes on MacKenzie Weegar, though. He's a heck of a story, I must say. MacKenzie Weegar is a player that I followed closely since his junior days, where he played for the Halifax Mooseheads. I do tend to follow a lot of the Atlantic-based Quebec major junior hockey teams closely, because that's obviously the neck of the woods I live in. I get to see the Mooseheads and the Sea Dogs and the Wildcats and all these teams play a fair bit throughout the season. So he's been an interesting case that I've been following along here. And he was really good in junior, but he was like a castaway. He's not even from this part of the country now. To be eligible to go to the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, to be drafted by those teams, you have to live in Quebec or in the Atlantic provinces where the teams are located, and there are some players who can be drafted from the New England area. You can end up in a different junior league across Canada and Major Junior if your home province or home league that you should be going to basically has rejected you and you didn't get drafted. Then you can, the teams are allowed to have a select number of players from outside like that. So he's one of those guys. He didn't even get to go. He didn't get picked in the OHL, where he's from. And he's from Nepean, which is basically part of Ottawa. That's why a lot of people have been connecting Weegar to Ottawa. There's a lot of Ottawa fans I know are hoping he might hit free agency so that he could sign back at home. There was some hope and desire there, and I think Weegar probably would have been interested had that come up, but certainly it's not going to. It's fair to say that MacKenzie Weegar, because he's a little bit of a late blooming defenseman, I don't know that it's pretty hard to pass up $50 million and bet on yourself at this stage. Yes, he's made good money the past few years, more than the average Joe like me and you, but at the same time, when somebody offers you a contract worth $50 million, gives you financial security the rest of your life, and it's going to take you probably to the rest of your NHL career, that's awfully hard to say no to. So MacKenzie Weegar has played Junior B hockey. He's had to go out of province to go to the Quebec League. He's played in the East Coast Hockey League, played in the American Hockey League, finally makes it to the NHL. 4 years after being drafted, was drafted 2013, 7th round pick, 206 overall. We all know the odds of a 7th round draft pick making it are slim, let alone, to make it and have that good of a career, like long term, and make that kind of money. It's rare. So good on MacKenzie Weegar. Like I said, he's had a long hard road to put in a lot of hard work, and I hope this works out for the Flames. They have one of the best defense corps in the league between Weegar, Chris Tanev, Noah Hannafin, Rasmus Anderson, Oliver Shillington. Like, they have quite a dynamic group there, and the best part is that none of them are making an astronomical amount of money. They just have a lot of really good, kind of average contracts, but I think some of these guys can play better than average defensemen. So overall, it's a really good improved defense core. So like I said, we're all still on the fence on if the Flames are better or not this year. I think it's fair to say the blue line is definitely better. MacKenzie Weegar's been what they call like an analytics darling for some time. The analytics community's been high on this guy, probably before a lot of people were for sure. I know I've seen Panther fans not overly be pleased with him at times, and like anybody, I'm sure like there's obviously times when you make mistakes, but for the Flames, they've got Huberdeau now and Weegar signed long-term 8-year deals after making this huge trade. They haven't yet either played a regular season game for the Flames, so I just hope for their sake that it's a good fit and it works out, because they're tied to these guys now for a super long time, and I guess we'll see. Brad Treliving certainly had one heck of an offseason, both the highs and the lows, and we'll see how everything goes, but the Flames are, according to a lot of the betting places and a lot of the odds makers, one of the top teams to look for to make some noise in this year's regular season playoffs and be a cup contender. So let me know your thoughts on the Weegar contract. Of course, one other quick detail on the Weegar contract as well is that it is a straight $6.25 million per year over the 8 years. The first 4 years, though, $2 million of it is a signing bonus each year. The rest is salary. Then the final 4 years is just straight salary. So overall, not a bad contract at all. The only real concern, like I said, is really the last few years, given what his age is. But I think at the same time, the Flames don't care, especially if they end up winning a cup or have a lot of great success in the first half of the contract. So let me know your thoughts on the deal down in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with the latest news, rumors, and analysis on all 32 NHL teams. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.